手加減八王子その2だ。空振りパンチ。
From godlike abilities to unbeatable battle tactics, anime's latest wave of overpowered protagonists is taking the medium by storm. These unstoppable forces are redefining what it means to be powerful, bringing fresh takes on the beloved OP protagonist trope we can't get enough of. Without further ado, let's dive into some new anime featuring MCs who make their opponents wish they'd stayed home. Number 10, the healer who was banished from his party is, in fact, the strongest. Sometimes, small misunderstandings can have great consequences, and no one knows this better than Laos, a healer who never bothered to mention one tiny detail to his former party. He's actually a monster in close combat. For years, he played his role perfectly, standing in the back, casting healing spells, and watching his teammates take all the glory. His healing skills were average at best, but that didn't matter much since he spent most fights secretly taking down monsters with his fists when no one was looking. That is, until his party leader decided he wasn't pulling his weight and kicked him out. Talk about irony, the guy they thought was their weakest link was actually carrying half their battles. But Laos being Laos, just accepted it with a shrug and walked away. Now he's starting fresh with a new companion, a skilled martial artist who, unlike his previous teammates, actually noticed and punched a monster in the face. Finally, someone who appreciates his rather unorthodox approach to healing. Together, they're building a reputation that has his old party scratching their heads, wondering if they've made a terrible mistake. Number 9, Wistoria, Wand and Sword.
It's like a bolt of lightning.
There's a wolf inside all of us. Some discover it, some don't, and sometimes the same person who can't light a candle with magic can cut through steel with a sword. That's Will Surfort's story, a young man born into a world where magic means everything, yet he can't conjure up so much as a spark. The irony isn't lost on him.
In this world, magic reigns supreme above all else. Our heroes are called mages!
His childhood friend, Elfaria, soared to the heights of the Wizard's Tower, becoming one of the legendary Magi of Vander, the 5 most powerful mages tasked with protecting the world from ancient threats sealed away in a magical dome. It's the same tower they both promised to climb together as kids, back when dreams seemed simpler. But Will isn't one to let a little thing like being magicless stop him. While his classmates at Regarded Magic Academy throw fireballs and summon storms, he's been honing a different kind of power. In the depths of the labyrinth, where monsters lurk and magic users fear to tread, Will dances with his blade, turning his physical prowess into an art form that rivals any spell. Now, armed with nothing but his sword, a few magical trinkets, and an unwavering determination, he's charging headfirst toward that childhood promise. The Wizard's Tower looms before him, a testament to magical mind that he intends to conquer without casting a single spell.
Stop this right now! Wait.
Number 8, the strongest tank's Labyrinth Raids. A tank with a rare 9,999 resistance skill got kicked from the hero's party. HR is tricky business, and sometimes you don't make the best of decisions. Kicking the sole carry of your team is definitely one of them. Just ask the hero's party, who thought their tank, Rudd, was dead weight. Little did they know they just sent away the man with literally unbreakable defense. Not that Rudd complained much about the dismissal. He had bigger concerns than an arrogant hero's temper tantrum, namely a sister back home fighting an illness that no healer can cure. Every labyrinth raid, every monster fought, every treasure chest open was another chance to find that mythical wish-granting artifact that could save her life. Fate has a funny way of working things out though. On his journey home, Rudd saves a girl from a monster attack. Standard hero stuff really. But this damsel in distress turns out to be anything but ordinary, possessing the ultra-rare appraisal skill. One look at Rudd, and suddenly all those mysterious abilities he'd been lugging around make sense. He's not just tough, he's practically invincible. With a defense stat that maxes out at 9,999, now armed with the knowledge of his true potential and free from a party that never appreciated him, Rudd's setting out on his own terms. The labyrinths still call, that wish-granting treasure is still out there, and this time, nothing's going to stand in his way. Not that anything could with defense like that. Number 7, Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells.
Para! Toka! Rise! さすがだよ、人類最強。
Just because you're summoned to another world doesn't mean you're going to be handed the flashiest powers on a silver platter. Toka Mimori learned this the hard way when he got stuck with what seems like the short end of the magical stick, the ability to inflict status effects. No fireballs, no lightning bolts, just good old-fashioned poison and paralysis. In a world that grades heroes like exam papers, Toka got slapped with an E rank, the kind of grade that gets your test paper stuck to the refrigerator, not in a good way. And apparently, the local goddess Vicious runs her hero program like a cutthroat corporate merger, deciding to downsize the lowest ranked hero to keep the talent pool pristine.
生きて戻った。覚悟しておけ。
Tossed into a death zone like yesterday's trash, Toka found himself staring down a minotaur with nothing but his supposedly useless abilities. That's when he discovered something interesting. Those unreliable status effects, they work. They work really, really well. Turns out, when you can stop any monster in its tracks or poison any enemy into submission, you don't need fancy explosion spells. Now, armed with powers that everyone foolishly overlooked, Toka's got a new goal in mind. He's going to climb his way back up from the bottom and show that goddess exactly what happens when you underestimate the guy who can make your entire body stop working with a thought.
配達場ってのはもう飲み込める。パラライズ。動けだ。
Number 6, I was reincarnated as the 7th prince so I can take my time perfecting my magical ability. What should one do when he gets a second chance at life with unlimited mana and zero royal responsibilities? Just ask Lloyd de Saloum, formerly a magic-obsessed commoner who couldn't cast a spell to save his life, now reborn as the 7th prince of a kingdom with enough magical energy to make a dragon jealous. Being 7th in line for the throne is actually perfect for Lloyd. No one expects much from him politically, which means he can spend his days doing what he loves best, diving deep into magical theory, experimenting with spells, and generally being the magical research junkie he never could be in his past life. It's like getting a lifetime pass to the world's most exclusive magical laboratory, complete with royal funding. The universe, however, has a funny way of forcing the most dedicated bookworms into action. Ancient seals are breaking down across the kingdom, releasing demons that have been locked away for centuries. These aren't your garden variety monsters either. They're the kind that make seasoned warriors shake in their boots. But while everyone else is panicking, Lloyd's practically gleaming with excitement. After all, what better way to test all those spells he's been perfecting than against some ancient demons? His endless magical experiments are about to become the kingdom's greatest weapon, proving that sometimes the biggest nerd in the room is exactly who you need to save the world. Number 5, Goodbye Dragon Life. Long before farmers tilled these fields or children played in these streets, he soared through ancient skies, a dragon so powerful that gods themselves whispered his name in fear. Now, he wakes up every morning as Dolan, a simple villager who needs to check his potato crops and maybe hunt some rabbits for dinner. It's a strange twist of fate, from being the apex predator of all creation to someone who has to worry about whether it might rain tomorrow and ruin the harvest. But there's something oddly satisfying about it all. The morning dew on grass, the smell of freshly baked bread, the simple pleasures that never meant anything to a creature of legendary might.
主だった産業は農業ぐらいのもので、私も畑に出ては日々の食い縁を得るために
Life was settling into a comfortable routine until that day in the swamp when he met Selena, a lamia whose serpentine nature tends to send most humans running in the opposite direction. The irony isn't lost on him. Here's a former dragon making friends with someone who's part snake, both of them trying to find their place in a human world. Together, they're writing a new story, far from the epic tales of dragon slaying and godly battles. It's a quieter tale, filled with everyday moments and small victories, proving that sometimes the greatest adventure isn't in conquering the world, but in learning to live in it.
エナジーボルト
Number 4. The Elusive Samurai. Taking Just Dodge Bro to a whole new level, 8-year-old Tokiyuki Hojo has turned avoiding responsibility into an art form. While other noble kids are swinging swords and shooting arrows, he's mastering the ancient technique of not being where anyone expects him to be. Need to find the future shogun? Check behind the garden bushes or up in that tree, if you're lucky. Life was all fun and games until it wasn't. A bloody coup turned his peaceful world upside down, leaving him as the last surviving member of his clan. Just when he was ready to give up and join his family in the afterlife, fate, or more specifically a cryptic priest named Yorishige, had other plans. Nothing says time to grow up quite like being thrown onto a battlefield with actual soldiers trying to kill you.
That is the moment.
But here's the twist, all those years of playing hide and seek weren't wasted after all. Turns out, being really good at not getting hit is a surprisingly useful skill when people are trying to end your bloodline. What started as childhood mischief has become his greatest weapon. Now, guided by Yorishige's prophecy of his heroic destiny, Tokiyuki is turning his evasion skills into something legendary. He's not going to avenge his family with a mighty sword or powerful magic, he's going to do it by being the most annoyingly hard to catch target in Japanese history. Number 3. Undead, Unluck. In a world where superpowers are supposed to be cool and exciting, Fuko Izumi got stuck with the cosmic joke of unluck. Touch someone and watch as the universe conspires to create the most ridiculous chain of catastrophes imaginable. No wonder her romance manga collection is her only friend. At least paper characters don't explode when she holds their hand. Enter the walking paradox himself, a man who calls himself Undead, who spent countless years trying and failing to die. While most people run screaming from Fuko's deadly touch, this guy's practically doing cartwheels of joy at the prospect of finally meeting someone who might be able to kill him. It should have been simple. She touches him, something absurdly catastrophic happens, he finally gets his wish, and she gets to stop worrying about accidentally causing natural disasters every time she bumps into someone on the train. But, of course, nothing's ever that straightforward when you're dealing with supernatural bad luck. Now, they're caught in the crosshairs of a shadowy organization that's decided people with special abilities need to be wiped out. It's a bizarre partnership, a girl who can't touch anyone trying to protect her right to exist, and an immortal man trying to protect his right to die, both of them stumbling through a dangerous world where their very existence is considered a threat. Number 2. Ragna Crimson.
In this form is my ultimate power unleashed, and that worthless human is freeze.
When fate deals you a cursed hand, most people fold, but but Ragna just keeps drawing cards. He's the guy dragons seem to have a personal vendetta against, leaving a trail of dead friends and allies in their wake. The only person who doesn't seem to care about this supposed curse is Leonika, a dragon hunter prodigy who sees past his apparent incompetence. Their partnership works, somehow. She's brilliant with a blade, turning ancient dragons into ice sculptures with her silverine-infused weapons, while he tries his best not to get in the way. It's not much, but it's honest work, and for once in his life, Ragna feels like maybe his curse won't touch someone he cares about. Then the dream starts. Visions of Leonika's death play out in his mind like a horror show he can't wake up from. Just when despair seems inevitable, reality takes a sharp turn into the bizarre. His future self shows up, armed with power and memories from a timeline where everything went wrong. Now, Ragna's playing a different game entirely. Partnered with the enigmatic Crimson and wielding powers he barely understands, he's no longer just trying to survive in a world of dragons, he's planning to eliminate them all, because sometimes the only way to break a curse is to become something even the dragons fear. Number 1. The Ossan newbie adventurer, trained to death by the most powerful party, became invincible. 30-year-old Rick Gladiodal, a humble clerk at the Adventurers Guild, harbored a burning desire to fulfill his childhood dreams of glory. As far as midlife crisis goes, trading paperwork for a sword is probably more exciting than buying a sports carriage. Enter Rayonette Elfet, a dark elf from the legendary party Orichalcum Fist, who saw something in this paper-pushing dreamer that others missed. Of course, her dream of mentoring turned out to be what most people would call torture with extra steps. For 2 years, Rick's daily routine consisted of getting beaten up by heroes who could probably punch mountains into dust. The catch? In this world, magical power is like a subscription service that expires at age 20. So here's Rick, showing up to his E-rank adventure exam looking like the chaperone who got lost on a field trip, facing examiners who probably thinks he's having some sort of early retirement crisis. But while everyone's busy judging the old man with zero magical potential, they're missing one crucial detail. Those 2 years of getting thrashed by legendary heroes didn't just toughen him up, they turned him into something that doesn't need magic to be terrifying. Sometimes, the best answer to "you're too old for this" is becoming absolutely unstoppable.